hours of the regular show on terrestrial radio, and you wanted a little bit more, so that's why you found the Gun Talk After Show podcast, where we saved all the best things that we can't say on regular radio. Now here's Tom, Michelle, and Jim for the Gun Talk After Show.
All right, it's the After Show, talking to Jim and Michelle. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
They're there. They are. Tell you what, we'll hold our conversations for a minute because we have some folks who have been kind enough to stay on hold with us, and we're going to be talking with them right now. Let's see. Aaron's on line 2 out of Florida. Hey, Aaron, what's on your mind here?
Hey, Tom, I've got the idea. I can end school shootings tomorrow if everybody will follow my lead.
Okay.
Get rid of schools. Why do we need them? I've got an information superhighway running through my living room. You're telling me they can't learn things online anymore?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
You think so? You think somebody did it? Now, don't get me wrong. I say it tongue-in-cheek a little bit. But think about it. We could actually do secure buildings with an armed guard, left and right, forward and backwards. They could sit down at a computer and learn. I mean, the kids who don't want to learn, they're not going to learn anyway.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but it's not really going to work. That's not going to work for grade school, is it?
I think it could. I believe it could.
Really?
That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, I believe it could.
We're going to wait. We're going to drop an 8-year-old, and they're going to come up with their own curriculum, and they're going to find this stuff online.
No, I'm not saying they come up with their own curriculum. I'm saying that they don't get. You can scope it down to say, hey, you have to study this and this and this. They only get to go to certain websites. If the parents want to do it, that's fine. When they go to these buildings or whatnot, and I know it sounds police state, I'm not arguing that at all. But if they go to these buildings, these are the only sites they get to visit.
This is kind of like homeschooling, but remote.
I also want to say something else that's going to make you really mad. Every time you see a Loomis or a Wells Fargo truck, what do you see getting out of it?
Sure, go ahead. I know where you're going.
You're telling me that the money in those trucks is more important than our children.
I've been saying that for 10 years. We'll spend money. We will protect with guns our money, but we will not protect with guns our children. It makes no sense. It's actually immoral when you think about it. No, I've been saying that for a decade now, and all of a sudden I'm seeing memes saying the exact same thing. But, yeah, no, you're exactly right. We will, what's the old deal? We will show you what we value by what we spend our money on and what we spend our time on. And so, yes, I think you have hit it exactly right, and it's not tongue-in-cheek. We actually do, societally, want to protect we value our money more than we do our children.
And our politicians, they're all protected with firearms, but they don't want anybody else to be.
Yeah, but that's only because they get to do it. If it were up to me, they wouldn't. I'd say, look, you want to protect yourself, then you need to get a carry permit.
Amen.
Wouldn't that be something? If you said, okay, to Pelosi and Schumer and all, say, look, you want to be protected, not have, if Capitol Police around you, then get a gun. Oh,
I like it.
I like it. Up. I thought you might. Let's go talk to John. He's in Mountain Home, Arkansas, I believe that is. Hey, John, you got a few things on your mind. What do you want to do here?
Yeah, Tom, I was thinking, you talk about the cost of what, to protect our children, but I was thinking I'm going to call my senators and suggest that we've got the TSA, we have Homeland Security, and yet we have all these other government programs that are over-bloated and they never cut it, and we've got money for DACA and all these other immigrant children, but I don't understand, why don't they just make it like school land security or American school security and start another government program? We could fund it through one of the other ones. I mean, we spent all the money on TSA. We spent all the money on Homeland Security. You're telling me the kids ain't... And then that way the states can get money like they do for like seatbelt violations and all this stuff. I don't see why we couldn't suggest that to and especially the Democrats. They're ready to pay for all these programs for illegal children or DACA. What about our kids?
Amen.
Well, there is something to be said for that. I understand where you're going with that. I'm also reluctant to create any more bureaucracies. I think we ought to be getting rid of bureaucracies. We ought to be, their idea in Washington of cutting back is cutting the growth back, as opposed to saying, okay, I want every department to have a 1% smaller budget this year. 1%. Can you imagine if we could just 1% per year dial it back? Your department's going to get smaller. Of course, they would just have a fit. It's by the way, I just wrote a review, guys. It'll be in Washington Times this week of the book "I'm from the Government and I'm Here to Kill You" by David Hardy. One of the things he says in there, of course, he's not exactly a radical, a 10-year in Washington insider at a very high level in D.C. And he said, look, he says, bureaucracies and people who work in bureaucracies and agencies, they have two jobs. One is to protect the agency, and the other is to grow the agency. That's it. And they will do anything that is necessary to do that. And so I don't really want to create another agency or another bureaucracy for this. And I don't think we have to. I think there are other ways to go about protecting our kids in schools. I don't know, guys. I don't see any will to do that. I don't see anybody saying we're going to come up with the money or the training or on the state level or on a federal level to do any of this. Do you? It's
because it's all knee-jerk stuff, Tom. There's emotions run high, and the first thing you do is ban the hardware. Don't look into root causes, God forbid, and don't look at any kind of empirical data that would back a story on either side. Just play the heartstrings, and kids died, and it was because of a gun, not because of a gunman. So let's just get rid of them, and then we'll find another problem to go after.
Yeah, it plays to the agenda of the politicians, the folks, the Bloombergs of the world there, and I'm on the mailing list of the Everytown and all the different gun ban groups, and I have been getting 3 or 4 emails a day from them after the Florida school shooting, and they are using that to raise money. I've got nothing from the NRA trying to raise money. I will bet there's not 3 hours doesn't go by before I get an email from one of these groups trying to raise money off of the Florida school shootings. I mean, that's who they are. That's what they do. That's the reason they exist. And then they say, well, the NRA is just heartless. No, they're not trying to raise money off of this thing. They're the ones who are putting the Eddie Eagle programs into schools. They're the ones who are teaching kids to avoid guns. They're teaching safe gun handling. Oh, did you guys see the story? Talk about misleading headlines and faking the news. The NRA gave $10,000 to train the school shooter in Florida. That was the headline I saw. Turns out the NRA Foundation, which is not the NRA, gave $10,000 to the junior ROTC program for firearms training. And oh, by the way, some of those junior ROTC folks in school went and grabbed the Kevlar blankets that they use and put them over students to protect them during the shooting.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
So
didn't read about that.
So training never works, right? Training never comes in handy.
Kidding.
Yeah.
It just makes you angry. Tell you what, let's take a quick break. I want to come back and we could talk about this because I know you guys have thoughts on it, and I have pretty much done what I can do on this. So we'll take a quick break, and it'll be Jim and Michelle will tell us what we need to be thinking about it. How's that?
Get ready for something totally new from LMT. A short personal defense weapon with an integral suppressor. Featuring new suppressor technology from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, the CSW, or Confined Space Weapon, has a 24-inch overall length profile and includes their new high-performance suppressor that can shoot supersonic and subsonic ammunition with no changes. Chambered for the 300 blackout, the CSW allows quick movement in tight quarters. For more, visit lmtdefense.com.
For tactical equipment for military, law enforcement, and shooting enthusiasts, look for the name Elite Survival Systems, creators of high-quality, intelligently designed products for concealed carry, discreet transport, and rigorous tactical uses. Elite Survival Systems knows there isn't just one method of carry that works for everyone. Elite offers a vast array of concealment products to fit your lifestyle, including holsters, belts, vests, pouches, slings, bags, backpacks, and cases. Find out more at EliteSurvival.com.
All right, we're back. We got Jim Kinsey over there, Michelle Cleland over there. You guys have been talking about this ever since it happened down in Florida. You talk with your friends, you talk with your family. Michelle, let me start with you. I mean, I know it feels like we've been down this road before, but for some reason, it seems to me like the assault on gun ownership is stronger after this one. I don't know, is it just my impression?
Well, I think the minute after it happens, we're immediately attacked for being gun owners in America. And it doesn't matter how responsible I prove myself to be every day. It's a matter of this action represents who I am or what thoughts I have, which are completely bogus. And to me, I think we need to change the political calling. I don't think we need to call for a gun ban. I think we need to demand these politicians find a better way to protect our children in the schools and the institutions that they say they have to go to.
It's interesting you put it that way. They require the students to go to these schools. You know what? If you're going to require that, then you better provide some protection for them.
Right.
I cannot disagree with that. It's just how do we get them off of the one thing and move them on to the other thing? And that's, and the thing is, we can do that if we just will, if we just, as I say, get off our rear ends. What if your state legislators their phones started ringing and didn't stop ringing for a week on this, with us saying, get off the gun kick and get us, some real protection and get us training for the teachers so they can protect our students and just inundate them, just hammer them. It has an effect. It really does.
Something's got to change. Something's got to be that focal point instead of always a gun. I mean, school is a tool, right? We send our children that we love dearly to school to better educate themselves, to be better citizens in the country that we live in. And a rifle or a handgun or any kind of firearm is also a tool. And how we use it, how we teach them, those are all the things that we need to take time with. I mean, the best thing that you can do is take time with your kid. You teach them respect, manners, if you will, tolerance, morals, a better understanding to mortality and what it really is all about. You put them into an environment that has limited online experiences or limited video games or severe judgment from the parents have been given the opportunity to choose which games they play. I don't know what the answer is, but it's definitely a desensitized era that we are in, unfortunately.
And by the way, for the parents out there, your kids have no right to privacy. You should know everything that they do. You should know everything that's in their room. You should be able to go into every drawer and every cabinet and every chest of drawers and every place and every bookshelf. And it's your house. It's not their house. They live there, because you allow them to live there. You are in charge. They don't have a right to privacy when it comes to that.
Well, see, that's another root problem.
You get to know everything.
That's a root problem of our society, though, Tom, is that everybody wants to be their kid's friends, not their parent. You can be a friendly parent, but step up and be a parent.
Yeah. I'm telling you really got to, I'm not kidding, grab a copy of the book, The Vanishing American Adult. It's really interesting. Whether you're a parent or a grandparent or whatever, I think you would enjoy it and get a lot out of it. You're going to end up wanting to give copies of it to people. It's pretty interesting. But it's exactly the kind of things we're talking about there. You don't be your child's friend. Be a parent. Require things of them. But, going back to this situation, one of the things that frustrates me, and Jim, I'll get your take on this, is that at its core, I think, a lot of the calls for restrictions on gun owners comes from an honest misunderstanding or not understanding that most people who use guns, like 99% of them, do so legally and honestly and responsibly. And they really do think that take the AR-15, all it's ever used for is crime. Mm-hmm. And you try to educate them, and it's almost like there's a force shield up that you can't get through because they've been told so many times that these guns don't have any legitimate reason, any legitimate purpose, and the only reason you would want one is to kill people. But it's hugely frustrating.
Part of that falls on your shoulders and mine and Michelle's and everybody else, Tom, because we're always playing catch-up. We're always on defense. There was a shooting. All gun owners aren't bad. Guns aren't bad. And we're always playing defense. How many people are going out there and getting people that are anti-gun into shooting or gun neutral, let's say, even?
Right.
Right. Let's do some more ambassador work on the front end. If there's less people, there's more. It's ignorance. They talk about stuff on guns not because they're stupid. They're ignorant. They've never been exposed to it. Right. Their only exposure is from the news showing these, full auto weapons that are used so often. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is it a correction of the problem? No, but it is be proactive instead of reactive. And I guess on the other side of it, what we can do is I don't mean to this to be tongue in cheek, because it's not a humorous topic, but it's almost comical how they won't use any facts, any knowledge. It's all emotion. It's all knee jerk. Mm-hmm. If you asked any victim's family, your son was saved or wasn't saved, depending on the situation, a cop saved your son's life. Are you thrilled about that? Well, sure. Okay, so this guy or girl who has a $20 badge and a blue outfit, they're okay to save your kid because they're called a cop. But the janitor, who's probably a better shot anyway, he can't protect your kids. So my idea is, let's do an up and down campaign. Take down the damn no gun signs and hang up a blue uniform and a badge on a coat hanger. It's hanging in the school right there. All laws apply like they would at Kroger or the mall or anywhere else. And anybody who's licensed carry person can carry. If the proverbial feces hits the fan, first one who shoots the bad guy gets to put on the blue shirt and the badge, and everybody's happy. It's bullshit, Tom. It's really bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
it's
in some of the reports that are coming out, in some of the interviews that are taking place by the mainstream media, I mean, they're talking with these kids, and they're talking with parents and, other teachers in these classrooms. And I don't just mean this school. It's the same philosophy that they have to give information to the public every time something like this happens. And it's horrendous, and my heart rate is high just because, I am a parent, and I did raise my kids successfully, and we showed them that this was a tool. One, the rifle was a way for us to feed our family. We didn't depend on everything coming from our grocery store. We enjoyed the great outdoors that way. My children have very good competitive resumes, and never once did I think that my child was going to take that firearm to school to create havoc. They were taught better. They were trained, basically. But the schools haven't changed, and I'm glad somebody else during the regular show brought this up, too, because the schools haven't changed. What do? We have these alarms that go off at the schools, and the children are corralled into a room where they're held basically as a hostage to the shooter that's coming into the school. Well, what happens? Casualties increase. We're also not helping ourselves in that aspect.
To that point, if you had, if you hardened the defenses, if every door was lockable and was bulletproof, okay, well, then you could lock kids into a room where nobody could get into them. But that's going to take money. And people say, well, that's, now we have to actually do something as opposed to passing a law, gun ban, which will do nothing, but sure makes people feel good about everything. Like, well, here's something we could do. We have to ban guns. They have all these rallies out there, and everybody's chanting to ban guns or ban the AR-15, which they probably don't even know what it is. But they won't actually do something that's effective if it costs money. And that's both sad and it makes me angry.
Well, I'm not sure. I understand that there's people out there that don't want to handle a firearm. That's fine.
Don't.
I wouldn't say that you have to just because you're a teacher. But there's definitely people out there that want to take that protect the child oath to the fullest they can. A concealed carry person, you don't even know who they are. You could be sitting next to one right now in your house as a guest, and you have no idea that they're a person who has a concealed firearm on them.
If they're doing it right.
Right.
It's nobody's business, right?
These schools can go about it the same way. If we have such faith in the teachers and the people that we put in the building to protect our kids and instill the facts of life and all the scholarly things that they're supposed to learn, then you protect that. You rely on them to protect your child's life. Mm-hmm. So give them the ability to do so, those that want to. Or if your campus is too large, then you need to start breaking up your campus into different zones, if you will, not gun zones necessarily, but into security zones. Who is responsible for this area?
You can't have one officer for an entire campus.
Exactly.
That makes no sense.
And
it's like having one officer for your town.
Right. It's not going to happen. No. It's not going to function
like
that way.
The Mayberry RFD, it's like having one bullet for your gun. It makes as much sense.
Right.
Maybe you set it up, you say, okay, here's the deal. You have to have security that is always within 60 seconds of any point. Just as that's how you achieve it. You have to have enough people here so that, and they're positioned in such a way that any point in the school could be reached by a security person within 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Tom.
Just arbitrary, just picking a number.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I mean, this may sound cold and callous, and it's meant to be clinical, not to be cold. Is there any litigation? I mean, is there any responsibility the school has?
Mm-mm.
You can't sue the school because your kid got taken out?
No.
You didn't provide good enough security?
No, and I just went through that. Actually, in this book, I'm from the government, and I'm here to kill you.
Okay.
Government entities are entirely protected now. They got the discretionary exclusion rule. Basically, if it falls within the discretion, so if they have this is going to sound so weird because it is so weird. If they have the discretion to make the decision, then they are covered. So in other words, if they have the discretion to say we're not going to do it, then that's policy, and you cannot sue them for it. So basically what it amounts to is if they say they can do it, they can do it. And you have no legal wherewithal to go after them on that. It's the most mixed up, weird deal, but it's why you can't sue the government. You can't sue, the police department for not protecting you. You can't sue. You can't hold them responsible for what they did at Waco, burning up 80 kids or 80 people, a bunch of kids there, as what started as a publicity stunt to raise money to get money out of Congress. The whole thing was a fundraising deal, trying to increase their budgets. So basically, no, you cannot sue the school, you can't sue the state government, you can't sue the city government. They're all protected.
Well, and they want to say that the NRA is responsible and that they have, as they're saying in these interviews, blood on their hands. And, all firearm owners have blood on their hands. Well, that's a real kick in the stomach to me, I guess.
It's a cheap shot.
It is, because there's nothing more than I want than to be able to protect my kids and my family. And that's the means, unfortunately, that's the end mean. There's other things that can take place before that.
Yeah, but to be the entity, the organization, the body that teaches gun safety, and then for people to say you're responsible for the school shooting.
Right. And how many of these people even knew about the NRA? I mean, really, unless it was in a political debate somewhere, where have they heard about the NRA?
But it wouldn't matter, because if the NRA came and said, hey, we're going to help co-sponsor this bill with Representative such and such, and we've got this great plan, and it looks good on paper, it could be everything that the Dems would draw up as what they would want. But if it's presented or backed by the NRA, it's evil, and we've got to twist it.
Well, it's false motivation.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like Tom said it again. They're not going after the guns. They're going after us. It's us they don't like.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
when you figure that out, you realize that it really is a culture war, and they really truly are out to destroy your way of life. And this is part of it. It's not the whole thing, but it's a big part of it because it's an identifiable part. So it's as I say, it's really frustrating. But honestly, we're going to have to get ahead of this somehow. And my fear is the weight of the public opinion driven by the media will force something to happen. And it will be the wrong thing, and it will be not just ineffective, it will be counterproductive in the end.
But it'll make somebody feel good.
Yes, it will. And then they will say, well, that didn't work, so we need more, which is what always happens. Oh, well, that gun control thing didn't actually work.
Oh.
We just didn't do enough of it.
This turtle soup is too salty. Try putting some salt in there.
Yeah, it's kind of where we are. And you go, it just doesn't make any sense. You go, yeah, I understand, but that's where they are. Well, look, we will cogitate on this. And I would just ask anybody, if you have any thoughts on this, hardcore, serious ideas of ways we can get out in front of it. And, Jim, you're certainly right. We need to all be responsible for getting more people out to the range, educating more people on a one-to-one basis, because it's very difficult to do it on a mass basis. The media won't cover it. They won't. Basically, they block our message for the most part. And Gun Talk, what we're doing here is great, but we're going to be talking to ourselves 99% of the time. And then the other percent of the time, we get that calls like that weird guy today. That was odd.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you could float me $50,000 so I could go out and buy a full auto. I don't have
they're illegal. I'm sorry, you can't have one. They're illegal,
Yeah. Well, I figured I'd have $40,000 left over if I borrowed 50.
They're either very expensive or they're illegal. I'm not sure which. He couldn't figure out which
pick
was.
One.
Yeah. God, it was so weird. But, he just, like I say, he called wanting to have a fight and do it the passive-aggressive, I'm Mr. Reasonable. But that's not what it was about. So, and that's fine. He got his shot in, and we got to have a little bit of a conversation.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool because it's just one more example that we get to demonstrate of how people are. I'm not saying he's stupid, but he's ignorant when it comes to definitions and laws and substantiating and sources.
Yeah, in this case, I think he's willfully ignorant. I don't think he didn't really know. Not know. I think he knows. And just wanted to argue it the other way. He wasn't.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to argue. He doesn't want to argue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, they have numbers.
I'm going to argue about the fact that I don't want to argue.
Right.
They have numbers that they've been fed, and it's just nothing more than repetition.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like this 18 school shootings this year number that they are all repeating. And then no less than the Washington Post comes out and says, no, guys, even the Washington Post, who would like to have a gun ban, they said, that's simply not true. And basically, you got to knock it off because you're killing your credibility with this, because it just simply is not true.
They'll throw in a vandal shooting out a window with a BB gun as a school shooting.
Absolutely will, and do. Yeah.
Well, just like we've covered before, their definition of mass shooting, they've changed the number of what a mass
They changed
is.
the number, and then they say now they've changed it to just school shooting.
Right.
Which is when the school resource officer screws up and puts a round through the floor, that's a school shooting now. Mm-hmm. You go, oh, okay. Well, I understand it works for their agenda.
Right.
I get what they're doing.
But on the other side, be aware of those stats come from.
That's right. And the only way to combat them when you're having a conversation, whether it's for public, or just one-on-one, is to have the information. And once again, I'm going to direct people back to the Twitter feed because I'm putting all that information all the time. Just follow me. I am at Gun Talk on Twitter. And we'll keep feeding it. All you can do is keep throwing it out there.
And in parting, Tom, I've recently read that 137% of all information and statistics on the Internet are erroneous and over-exaggerated.
Okay, I like that. 60% of the time, we're right half the time.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
So, what? What do you say? All right, guys, have a safe week. I know you will. Take care of yourself, and, let's all recommit. I like your idea, Jim. We will share the truth, but we probably are going to have to do it one at a time. I think that's where we are. So we'll keep at it.
Stay safe.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week.
Be good.
Take care, Tom.
Well, that wraps up another Gun Talk after show. But if you want even more gun-related stuff, don't forget to check out Gundealio. It's the app for Apple and Android phones that connects you to all the Gun Talk shows, plus even more. And we'll catch you next time for the Gun Talk after show.